हो गया, चलो सीधा प्रिंसिपल के ऑफिस में।
जब तक तुम सॉरी नहीं बोल देते तुम्हारा आज का खाना बंद। सुना तूने?
Hi Karishma, congratulations on Bittu being nominated to Oscars. So has the feeling sunk in?
Not yet. I'm still pinching myself. We still have a month before we know if we're nominated. We're just shortlisted right now. But someone sent me the 10 other films we are running up against, and I'm not going to watch them. I'm going to be like a horse with blinders on and just keep moving forward.
So Karishma, what is Bittu about?
Bittu is inspired by the school poisoning that happened in Bihar in 2013. About 23 children unfortunately passed away instantly after consuming an accidental poisoned meal. But you know, the film at its heart centers around the friendship between two girls. More specifically, this little 9-year-old girl called Bittu, who's many years ahead of her actual age and a little bit of an individual in a herd. And on this day, her individuality is somehow punished, but also saves her in some sense.
So Bittu is based on true events. So what prompted you to pick up this subject?
If I'm honest, I started writing it from a place of anger, like everybody else, I'm sure, when they read about this incident in India. It just kind of shocks you that, we don't put in systems in place that can lead to such tragic events. But that just didn't, that was not enough for me as a scriptwriter. It just wasn't working on paper. I think what kept me going was this character of Bittu that I wanted to speak more about. I wanted her to come to life. She was in my subconscious for a long time. Ultimately, the film has become a lot about my own experiences in boarding school and my relationship with authority, like a tribute to my most formative friendships as well.
So the casting has been, pretty unconventional if we see that ways. How did you make your mind for the final cast?
Casting was both the most challenging part, but also kind of ended up being the most organic part of this whole process. I knew from the beginning I didn't want to, utilize child actors that were professionally trained because they have the sense of conditioning that I really couldn't. I didn't think would be effective for this film in the way that I was making it. I had a vision that I wanted the cast to really feel like they were from that place, for them to have a relationship with the mountains. It's very easily, you can spot a person when they're climbing up and down a mountain, whether they live there or not. So I wanted to make sure that that authenticity was not questioned when people were watching the film. The whole film is carried on the back of a 9-year-old girl, and I just needed a girl who was not aware of the camera at all and could act as if no one was watching. And I just had this really uh, big gut instinct that I wouldn't find that in someone who was professionally trained to be doing this at the age of 9. So I just, locked my location in Dehradun, near Dehradun, and just started like introducing myself to communities around that place. We conducted little like theater workshops that served as auditions when we were working with bigger groups of children. Um, I went to a couple of government schools in and around that area to look for this kid. Rani kind of emerged. I don't want to say quickly in the process, but a couple of weeks into the process, and we had an instant connection. And I just kept going back to the same place from then and casted everybody else in relation to her face and her energy.
So, did you exercise your creative vision to the hilt in Bittu, considering it's based on true events?
I took a lot of liberty fictionally. I never wanted to make a documentary or, I wasn't covering a piece of news. I wanted to reimagine the incident to some sense, especially, trying to explore the human experience behind that day, what it must have been like before this horrible thing happened. I think somewhere down the line in my own subconscious, talk I wanted to challenge the assumption that you think and have of a difficult narrative like this. I know there is like a preconceived notion that tough narratives like this come from developing spaces in India, and I wanted to make a film that speaks against that, that is not focusing and sensationalizing the violence or the tragedy. Instead, it's showing you that these people, they were real people, you know, they were not figures, they had dreams and ambitions and relationships with each other. And this thing can happen in anywhere in the world. It was just a mundane act of carelessness, you know. So I wanted to just do justice to these people without antagonizing any character in it.
So, what are your upcoming projects?
Well, right now I'm producing my first feature film for my friend and close collaborator Mary Evangelista, who also produced Bittu. It's a feature film called Burning Well. It takes place here in New York. We're just looking out. We're just kind of sending it out in the world. I hope to shoot it end of this year. Besides that, I'm developing my own script that's based in Assam and is somewhat inspired by my family over there.
Well, Karishma, thank you for joining us and having this wonderful conversation. I hope Bittu brings Oscar to India.